Yaritza Perez is joining me to speak on her role as Florida State Coordinator with Moms Clean Air Force and the fight to bring about climate equity and clean air for the Central Florida community. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for this invitation.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and the organization.
So I am not I'm a native New Yorker, but like a lot of us, we've all managed to migrate down to Florida. And as a Floridian, after my time in the military, I moved back to Florida. And I started noticing a couple changes were happening, not just in the weather, but there were a couple things that were happening within the community that didn't sit right with me. So I did a little bit of volunteering in the community and kind of started getting involved in getting a different perspective on how things were different from like how my bubble in the military was to, living in the civilian life and making those adjustments. And I noticed that there was just a very huge difference in how certain people in certain neighborhoods were getting funding and resources vice other neighborhoods. And through my volunteering, I stumbled across Moms Clean Air Force, and it's legit that. It's moms and dads, and I mean, all kinds of concerns, citizens, and fighting for clean air. And it's something that we just don't really talk about a lot, maybe because we take it for granted. But I started to learn a little bit more about like some of the vast inequities and like injustices that were happening within like the Central Florida, but like all of Florida. Noticing the difference in like how some of the Latino communities were being treated differently, or maybe how some of us were being affected more with the climate and the temperature. So I started putting two and two together, like, wait a minute, I just served 12 years in the military and like land of the free, home of the brave. And I come home and it's difficult for my mom to go outside with some of her asthma. I know that there's a lot more kids nowadays, especially Latino kids, that are getting a little bit more sick nowadays. There's more kids that have like skin issues or respiratory issues, or maybe some sort of developmental things that happen, during the pregnancy or afterwards. And like, what do we need to do to make these changes, right? I know that with my military background, I learned how to use my trompeta, is what my mom likes to call it. And I found that especially within the Latino community, there's a lot of folks who don't talk about what's going on and ask for help. So with Moms Clean Air Force, we're able to help bring those conversations to the table. We're able to have those conversations in multiple languages and be able to find out, hey, what's going on with your health? What's happening in your environment that's affecting it, and how can we fix it? So I get to have the opportunity to speak with some of our community leaders and some of our legislators and some of those folks who are, changing the rules, making the rules on behalf of the people. I get to kind of have that connection and bring everybody to the table, have a cafecito and discuss, hey, what's happening in your neighborhood? Commissioner, how can we fix that? What sort of laws, regulations, and stipulations do we need to change so that way, the people stay healthy? Because it's really difficult to keep on advancing with so much modern medicine and technology, but our health is fading, right? Why? So like Moms Clean Air Force gets to have those conversations. We're making those connections between the community leaders, the community members, and those legislators and leaders who are there to speak on our behalf and kind of bridge that gap and find out what's really happening in our neighborhoods. So it's an amazing opportunity, an amazing organization to be able to have, these really difficult sometimes conversations, but also moms, that we're always gonna be the ones happening and moving things around the house. We're the ones who are the nurturers and the caretakers of the families. So what a great opportunity in place for us to be able to express those concerns, ideas, and thoughts. And it's not just, moms, we have scientists, we have city leaders and commissioners with us. We have legislators and congresswomen and congressmen within our support and some of that champion for us. And that's super important.
Would you like to expand on some of what you just said by explaining how moms are fighting for clean air here in Central Florida?
Definitely. One of the ways that moms fight for clean air, or moms can fight for clean air, is just taking action. It can be a phone call to the EPA during some of these hearings that they're having. And as intimidating as that is, we offer support, training, and help in getting those voices uplifted. We get moms to sign petitions. We get moms to call their legislators and get them involved and actively taking ownership of making these positive changes, especially when it has to do with the health of family members and especially dealing with the community and the climate that we're in. So that's one way that we get to do things. It's also being able to just kind of unite the community by having conversations and hosting cafecitos or getting together with other community activists and sitting down and just having conversations to, one, educate each other, to translate for one another. So it's really cool way how we're able to kind of network within the community and kind of bring everybody together at the same time.
What are the most common types of air pollution that you're finding in Central Florida, and what are the short-term and long-term effects?
Some of the common things that I'm finding that have been really devastating Central Florida is like we have a coal power plant in our area. A lot of folks see that coal power plant when they're driving by on the freeway on their way to the beach or, to go have a little mini vacation. And they see white steam coming out of these smokestacks. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It looks like the Simpsons cartoon. With that, people just assume like, oh, that's just steam. What they don't realize is that those are filtered contaminants. It's still a lot of contaminants in that. So like, for example, when the wind picks up, it picks up those contaminants, and it's been dropping it in that particular neighborhood that's directly right by that power plant. And now these kids are getting sick, right? So like we're able to pinpoint, hey, these kids are getting sick. We figured out what's the common denominator within these illnesses. They linked it back to some of the chemicals and the contaminants that were coming from that power plant. And now we've got the power plant to agree to shut down operations sooner than anticipated. We're also getting them to switch to cleaner, renewable energies in the meantime until they completely shut down coal operations and move completely clean and green. So we're able to do that type of work and getting some of these contaminators to either shut down or change their way of doing things, right? So it's really awesome to be able to do stuff like that. And so that's one of the things that contaminates our air is like the power plants. Also like emissions from, we have a lot of city buses. School buses are huge, right? One thing that I never thought about as a kid, and when I was in the school bus circle, when you get out of school, you don't think about, you're hanging out with your friends, but those school buses have been sitting there for how long? Like 20, 30 minutes waiting for the kids to get out of school. So like that nasty, contaminated little fog is just hanging out. So like our kids are coming out of school, they're hanging out in that nasty air. They don't even realize it because they're chit-chatting with their friends. They get on the bus, those contaminants and that nasty air gets in the bus, and it literally travels with the kids home, right? So one of the things that we're trying to do is change some of the type of transportation or some of the vehicles that we use citywide, like the city buses, maybe the garbage trucks. Could you imagine if we just switched that over? It's gonna definitely clean up the air, especially the air that our kids, they're in that little ozone, right? Because they're next to the mufflers and all the exhaust, which is low. So those contaminants stay low to the ground, and so are the kids. They're tiny, right? So like learning how to be able to pinpoint some of those issues, and that's one of the things that's contaminating the air. And like, let's face it, here in Central Florida, we are continuously like growing and adding and building. So there's a lot of contaminants that do come from the machinery, from the materials that they use for like, I'm just example, like the concrete. So we have helped get together with some of the local colleges and some of the other local organizations and get some like air monitoring systems and like implemented in certain neighborhoods to kind of keep track of like how good the air is or how contaminated the air is. That way, at least the parents can be like, no, don't go outside today, or like, don't go outside for too long. And then we can keep it tracked like that.
You talked about the air monitors, air quality monitors. Mm-hmm. What else can be done to reduce exposure to toxic chemicals in our communities and our homes?
Some of the things that I tell moms, like right away, I know that culturally, historically, generationally, we use certain cleaners when we're in the house because we like the way that it smells. We're familiar with those smells. We're familiar with those cleaners. If we can pull away from some of that stuff, like just that can be some of the small steps we take at home, right? So maybe not using like Fabuloso and bleach and all this other crazy stuff, and using more cleaner, like the DIY solutions like lemon, vinegar, and some of the things that can help a lot with at least the contact surfaces that we and our kids are exposed to, right? Changing out the air filters. I know it seems like, oh, no, duh, but a lot of times people forget because you just forget about the air filter. And as much as we use the AC, especially here in Florida, we want to make sure that we keep up on that and that you're using the correct filters in your homes. Making sure that you check the window seals and like there's a couple like safety measures that I believe OUC has even offered to help with, like, if they want to come and check your house and see if you have any air leaks and stuff like that. So there's a couple small steps that you can take at home. But as a community, if your neighborhood wants to get together and, hey, we want to get solar panels put on the entire neighborhood, collectively, there's programs put together for neighborhoods to be able to do stuff like that. If your neighborhood gets together and like, hey, like those folks that live over by the power plant, hey, like our kids are getting sick, what's happening? So the neighborhood literally got together, those parents, and figured out like, hey, how is it that all the kids in this neighborhood are getting sick with like cancer? What are the odds, right? So they're able to pinpoint where that connection is when it comes to those illnesses and bring it back to that either company or whoever the contaminator is. They can be like, hey, what's going on? Why are you guys dumping this stuff in our water, in the soil and stuff like that? You know what I mean? So there's a couple small steps, but what it takes is to be able to unite together. Like right there, there's a lot of us. If we just start talking to one another more about some of the things that are affecting us and like really just taking action and coming to the city mayor's office and talking to the commissioners and talking to the congressmen and women and the legislators that we have voted to speak on our behalf. That's huge. And I think with the language barrier and just sheer fear of like the public speaking, people just don't take that step. But what's important is that you just take a step. As long as you start moving, you can't. What's the saying that you don't have to be great to get started? You just have to get started to be great. Just taking one step will help motivate you. Like, you know what? I feel good. I did this one thing. I can do something else. And for those of the folks that we have in our community that they don't have that confidence and they don't know what to say, that's what Moms Clean Air Force and the Eco Madres are here for. We're here to help you either get your story put together in a way that you feel confident in sharing. We help you get some information. We have scientists. We have like all kinds of educators behind us that are backing us with information also so that we can help get that information to our residents.
Tell us a bit more about the Eco Madres organization.
The Eco Madres. I love it. It's like a three-part thing, like the Eco, the Madres, and the Comadres. And you know how like in the house, nothing, not even the silla moves unless if mommy says the silla can move over here, right? La que mandamos en la casa somos las mamás. So what we try to do is incorporate that and our love for cafecitos and sitting down with one another, las mujeres, las comadres. We just want to sit down and have a little talk. And that's how we're able to communicate. You know, my little son, he has asthma too. What are some of the things that you're doing? Or, you know, fulana's kid is sick and so-and-so's kid is sick. How can we make these connections and what's happening in our community that's affecting our kids? So with the Eco Madres program, we're able to do that and translate the information. It is so important to be able to have the information for people in English and Spanish. And we're actually working on getting it translated in other dialects as well. But like I realized that there's a huge disconnect with getting information. I know the Latino community is very hungry and thirsty for information. We want change. We are willing and excited for that change, but we just don't know what to do or how to get started, right? And so what we're trying to do, or what we are doing within the Eco Madres program is one, translating all that information so that we can get it out within our communities, and also just being able to have a place and a space where we can feel comfortable either talking in Spanglish or whatever language we want to talk comfortably with one another. And with having those little cafecitos and meetups, we're able to spread information because it's not just on Facebook or the news. We're able to have those one-on-one face-to-face conversations, which is, for me, is very important. I love texting. I like to do things on social media, but to have un cafecito con una amiga, it changes my conversation completely. And it's really helpful for me to have that, you know, face-to-face time, because sometimes we're able to get more information, you know, related to each other if we're talking vice if I'm just doing this all the time. You know what I mean? So that's what we're trying to do, is just kind of spread the word within the Latino community.
You've talked a lot about the resources and information. What resources are available?
So within our website, it is amazing. We've got moms across the country. We've got moms, honestly, all over the world, but we've got moms across the country and field organizers and Eco Madres groups. And like we've managed to link up with other amazing organizations like Chispa, Sierra Club, Hispanic Federation, Alianza. We get together with some of these other amazing organizations and like kind of unite all the information that we have, the power of being able to get the information out within our networks. So being able to do that kind of stuff together, those are some of the resources that we use. Our website has a bunch of links to other websites that I want to look up what bills are up for vote. Who's my representative? You can look all these things up online, and easy one-stop shop is like Moms Clean Air Force website. Within that website, you can check what state you live in. You can see what topics and what's going on within your state, who's representing your state, all the education and information that you would need on some of those hot topic and key issues. Just being able to have that accessible is huge, right? There's also apps that are available online that you can also look. And when you see within the Moms Clean Air Force website, we've got all those links to that kind of stuff too. The power of the technology that we have is huge. The gift of gab and being able to have that conversation with people is also very important too, because there is a lot of misinformation that's out there, right? And you don't know what's real, what's not. So just being able to get credible, solid resources is one thing that we definitely make sure that we do, and we take a lot of pride in within the Moms Clean Air Force organization, is that we want to make sure that the information is good, that it's solid, and it's coming from a credible source. Our entire website has all that information on there.
What ways can the community support the cause for clean air and a stable climate?
Some of the ways that some of our community members can get involved in cleaning up the air is literally just making a phone call. You can call your county representatives, you can call your congressman and find out, what are you doing about the climate? What are your views on the climate? You know what I'm saying? And one of the things you definitely want to establish is, where is it that you want your family, or what legacy you want to leave for your family? Like, you definitely want to leave things better than how we found it, right? That's one thing that I'm huge on. So like, I want to be able to do that, and in doing that, I want my kid has to see me take these actions. So being able to make those phone calls, going online and signing a petition. Right now, they're trying to focus on like clean buses. That's another huge push that we have going on right now. Who doesn't want a clean bus? There's a lot of funding that's coming down, and a lot of states and counties don't realize that they're eligible to get a clean green bus for their school district or maybe for their city. But because people are not aware of that, they don't make those phone calls. And it just takes a few phone calls. And if the city sees like, hey, we have a need for this, they'll get free buses. Not free, but they'll get clean buses, right? That can make a world of a difference on someone's health. Big time. Like, could you just imagine if we had all like electric buses going on? I think that would definitely like drive down the asthma attack rates or something like that. It's gonna have some sort of effect, and we'd be able to see that. We just need to get those buses put in place, right? Having or hosting a cafecito yourself. You know, like if you know that in your church group, you know that your mom group, do you know that the county group that you get together, your knitting group, whatever that is, that your little friend group that you have, just having a conversation of like, hey, what do you think about this heat? What do you think about how much hotter it's gotten here in Central Florida? I was reading an article on how there were certain parts of Orlando that are flooding now. Like, why are we flooding? Like, that's crazy, right? Some of these things we're just not having the conversations on. One easy way to get started is just to start talking about it. What do you think about this? And you know, one of your friends are going to have an opinion about something, right? Everybody has something to say. So being able to just kind of kickstart that conversation is huge. And just reaching out. You can reach out to to Moms Clean Air Force website, to Environmental Defense Fund, any of these organizations that you know that are environmentally sound and focused on, send them an email. Hey, how can I help? And you'd be surprised on how much help is needed, right? We want to get those community members active. It's your neighborhood that you're fighting for. So get out and fight for it. People have opinions and a lot of energy to spend on some things that may not be as impactful. But just imagine if we took that same energy and those actions and we put it towards something like climate change, the amount of impact that we can have, not just within our generation, but for the generations to follow us, is going to be huge.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I just want to share that I'm super empowered, and this has been an amazing opportunity, and just to be asked to come and do this. The information I want to share is just get active, like register with the organization. You'll get emails about information that's coming out soon, and just get out and get involved. And if people, I know that there's a lot of folks, especially with the pandemic, how everyone's been at home and kind of stuck inside. If you want to get out and make a positive change, like let's change our backyard. Let's make sure that the air is clean. And in doing something, like let's just get together and have a cafecito. It's very possible for us to unite as a city and make a huge change here. And as of right now, Orlando, Central Florida, has been really leading the state of Florida. And actually, Florida's been leading the nation when it comes to resiliency and just making these huge changes when it comes to climate and climate advocacy. So just jump on the train. Let's go, right?
How can people learn more, get in touch?
Yep, so we can go to the Moms Clean Air Force website. It's momscleanairforce.org, and from there you can find the state of Florida. From that, there's all of my contact information, contacting your office. They can ask for me, and I'll definitely leave my information with you. And if anybody has any resources or questions, or if they want to get involved in any way, they can just reach out to any of these key indicators, like I said, Alianza for Progress, the Hispanic Federation, Chispa, Moms Can. We've all been doing a lot of stuff here within the Orange County and Central Florida area. So just reaching out to any of these organizations, we'd be able to give you information about each other and kind of share all that information.
Well, thank you so much for being here, all the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it.
If you're enjoying this show, please subscribe to our channel and follow our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts.